Morning everybody, welcome back to the channel, hope you're all well. Now we're in the Brooks Restorations workshop, and if you haven't joined us for Project Alpha so far, we're in here for something a little bit different today, and that is my Toyota GR Yaris. We're going to be putting a new HKS Super Turbo Muffler exhaust system on it. So what we're going to do is first of all catch up with Big Neil and find out exactly what the plan is.
Obviously it's near enough new, isn't it? So yeah, we're basically replacing this section here with your shiny new expensive one and the new rear box. So just a couple of bolts, a few rubbers, and hopefully it'll all drop off and the new one will fit where it's supposed to. It's quite tight in places, your one, so hopefully we're going to have enough clearance with that and the prop shaft as well. So we'll find out shortly. It could all go tits up. I'm probably going to need your help here.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Twist the exhaust up.
Like that?
Yeah. I'm going to reuse the original bolts.
Okay.
Right.
Does it not come with new ones?
It does, but these are better quality.
So this is the part of the exhaust that goes from the catback. I've seen some people have changed this pipe for an OPF delete pipe, but we've not done that here today. So you can see there, nice and shiny and new, obviously. Resonator pipe going into here, and then obviously this is where the back box will connect onto.
Nice when they're new cars and they're not all rotten.
So again, this is the back box. You can see goes into two separate silencers here, unlike the original one, which has just got the one. And then obviously much larger diameter tailpipes here as well, with resonators in the middle and burnt tips on the end. Talking there about
11 centimetres, 8.5.
8.5 on the original. And 11 on the new one. Anyway, at this point I was hoping to show you some audio of what the standard exhaust sounds like on the car. However, I stuck a GoPro and a microphone on the car this morning, but it fell off because I've just had the car ceramic coated. So I suppose if anything, at least the ceramic coating is effective, but I am now a GoPro and a microphone down.
Just making sure we got no leaks because we got compressible gaskets around the joints. But obviously we had new gaskets, but we're just making sure, but all good.
Right, so we're all done here then in the Brooks Restorations workshop. Probably a good idea then that we take this car onto the road and find out how the HKS Super Turbo Muffler sounds on the GR Yaris. Hello everybody, so welcome back then to part 2 of this video. Now we're going to do a review of the HKS Super Turbo Muffler. Now you might notice I'm in different clothing, and that's because it's actually been a few weeks since we fitted the exhaust, because I wanted to get an idea really of what the exhaust was like to live with on a day-to-day basis in sort of an in-depth way. You know, you see these videos of people fitting the exhaust, and then after a day or even on the same day they're then going out and filming a review of them, but that's not kind of where I wanted to come at it from. I wanted to have the exhaust on for a while, get used to it, and then give you a proper assessment of what it's like. In terms of being in the cabin, you don't actually notice that much being different, to be honest with you. A slightly deeper exhaust note, I would say, in general, coming from sort of the underside of the car, and you can definitely hear that, but it's not intrusively loud, which is quite useful because I live on a little quiet cul-de-sac, and if you've got to get up for work early in the morning, the last thing you want to be doing is firing up your car and then waking everybody else on the close-up. So yeah, that's good. Right, so we're now driving then around town, and this is where you don't really notice that much difference between the standard exhaust that came with the GR Yaris and the HKS one that we've got fitted. Obviously we're only going round at sort of a quarter throttle, 20, 30 miles an hour tops, that sort of thing. And everything from the cabin sounds pretty standard. The only thing I will say is when you sort of get it between 3,000 or 4,000 RPM, when you start accelerating a bit more and pushing a bit harder, obviously you've got the resonation chamber underneath the car. When you put your foot down, that opens up, you get more noise coming through into the cabin, not intrusively so to the point where it's too loud or it starts to hurt your ears or anything like that, but it sort of gives you your first indication that actually you do have a performance exhaust on this car. Now there are other factors that we need to consider with this exhaust as well, namely the fact that the GR Yaris has got synthetic noise pumped into the speakers in the car as well. It's a really common trait with a lot of cars these days. I think BMW started doing it about 6 or 7 years ago. I could be way off with that, but yeah, they started doing it a long time ago, and I think everyone else has kind of followed with that because it means that they can run smaller exhausts, or if you've got a diesel, you can have a petrol sound kind of pumped into the cabin. Thanks very much. Lane assist, let's turn that off now before it gets too annoying. So what that means basically is, in terms of the cabin noise, you don't generally notice a great deal of difference. It's only when you start pushing the car that you start noticing that difference in exhaust note. So we're now on a dual carriageway and we're doing about 60 miles an hour in 5th gear. So what I'm going to do is drop it down a couple of cogs, and then we're going to put our foot down and you can hear the difference. So again, a really, really nice sort of deeper bassy note coming through. And again, heel towing, late braking into corners, it just sounds lovely. Really, really nice, deep exhaust note. And can you hear that? So I'm sort of going on a quarter throttle between 3,000 and 4,000. That's when we get the resonation chamber beginning to open up, and that's when you can really notice the big differences in the exhaust noise in the cabin. So I'm doing about 3,500 RPM. Let's just drop it down into 3rd. And it just, there's a lot more noise coming into the cabin. Lovely, that's so much better. Yeah, you can really, really notice that difference actually when you start putting your foot down. It sounds so much richer and fuller of an exhaust note. It's lovely. I also have to say, I think that this Super Turbo Muffler just looks the absolute business. I think it looks so lovely with those burnt blue tips on the end. Looks really racy, larger diameter exit pipes, the twin silencers that you've got on it as well. It's a much more, again, racy setup compared to the standard exhaust that you'd have fitted on the car. Just driving around at a normal dual carriageway like speed or motorway speed or whatever, you don't notice that much difference. It sounds exactly the same as it would do in the standard car, and that's actually reflected by the audio cabin levels as well. So I've got in here Lionel Richie's head, and we'll get the decibel-o-meter out again like we did in the review when we took this one to Wales, just to make sure that there's not much difference. So again, 70 miles an hour on the dual carriageway. It's about 73, 74 decibels, something like that. So that's not too bad, is it? Anyway, what we're going to do now, because there's not much traffic on this road, is we're just going to stop and we're going to do a little standing start so that we can have this for the GoPro. Are we ready then? So we're going to go from 0 to something or other. When I drove it at Brands Hatch, it sounded so much like a road car, and what I mean by that is it wasn't very noisy at all, but here with this different exhaust, you can really, really notice that deeper note. I can't fault this exhaust at all. There's no drone, there's no rattling, the build quality is excellent. HKS have just done an absolutely stunning job with it. I know I've not tested anything else, but from my experience, this HKS one is just fantastic. It really is nice. So livable day to day. A nice blend of usable and fun, making that driving experience feel more involved. I just can't fault it, really. I really can't. Anyway, thank you so much again for joining us on the channel once more. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video and this installation and review of the HKS Super Turbo Muffler. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again for more exciting car related content very soon on the channel. Take care, see you soon. Is the GoPro still attached though? That is the ultimate question. Yes! Get in, it's still attached. We've got footage. That'll do.